Hey everyone, so the 4th episode of Riverdale aired and oh my word, so much goes down in this one episode. I don't know how the writers and producers and creators and actors keep doing it, but week after week after week, they are bringing quality episodes for us to view, and I love it. Betty and Veronica's reaction when they actually find out that Archie and Ms. Grundy are, anyway, they honestly, I think, are still trying to be supportive of Archie by telling him, honestly, like, this is not a good situation, especially when Betty comes back and says, listen, something is wrong here. Like, she's not wanting to be a part of this. There's something going on. Like, she was involved with Jason the year before, and, at the end of the episode, when you see her, as I like to put it, leering at the guys walking by, I'm sorry, it's a bad situation, and it's all rolled into one huge, messy ball, and it's just not good. And then you find out that her real name's not her real name, and you find out that she has a gun, and isn't that the gun that was in question with Jason? So a lot is going on in this situation, but the huge kicker is that Archie says to Betty and Veronica, she believed in me when no one else did. Ouch, Archie, ouch. Also, with regards to the whole story that Ms. Grundy gave Archie, I don't know if I necessarily believe that or not. Especially with the whole situation with Jason, it makes you think, could she have been involved in the past with Jason under her real name, but in order to get close to him again, she had to change her name and he didn't know? Like, there's so much going on here. I don't know where the left hand finishes and where the right begins, because, like, Ms. Grundy is one that I have, since episode 1, not been okay with. I just need to get it out here. Remember how in the last episode talk I mentioned that, like, a Jughead and Ethel, that was like a huge thing for me in the series. Like, I loved the two of them together. Well, this episode I kind of have a Jughead and Betty that I'm shipping, and hold on, don't yell at me. Let me just finish. I know that there is, like, absolutely nothing romantic going on between the two of them, but just their interactions with each other, and with Jughead being there for Betty at times when she needs him, or, knowing when to hold his tongue on things. I don't know. I think that they'd make a really cute couple. Does anybody else see that at all? Anybody else? Cheryl has got to have a double personality or a multiple personality disorder, because you see when she's around, like, the girls that are, like, her group, she's, like, mean and rude and conceited and, like, totally has it together, this mean girl personality with her responses to Veronica and Mrs. Lodge, or Ms. Lodge. I'm not sure how she's going with, like, honestly right now I don't even know if she and Hiram are actually, like, real life divorced, or just, like, they got divorced so that, like, they could still do their stuff. Then you have Cheryl when she's not with them. She, like, tells them to move over, like, Veronica and Kevin to move over and make room and all this stuff, and it's like, this has happened more than once. You can tell with how she talks to him. Oh, cherry Coke like always. But, like, to be real, like, there has to be something going on there. Like, she shows her vulnerable side when those other girls aren't around. The real Cheryl is the one that is there when these people aren't around her, because she lets her guard down. But you also have to take into account, like, why is she having to be that way? Why? What is going on behind the scenes? Can we please see that in the next episode? Mrs. Lodge told Veronica, you have nothing to worry about. That is total code for you have everything to worry about, with what she's stating about, like, doing this deal under the table for Hiram, and that he's got, like, a really long reach even though he's in prison, and she's doing this deal and the mayor's involved in this, which is really bad. Which makes you think, what else is the mayor hiding? What else is she dirty on? And then you also have the fact that the mystery of the bag full of money that appeared at the end of episode 1 has reappeared, and this was what it was all for. I think it's interesting that episode 1 has like interconnected. Jelly Bean! Jelly Bean got mentioned, and my heart broke for everything else that got said. The mayor says that the future of Riverdale is at stake. You also have Hermione Lodge stating that the old Riverdale is dying, and there is so much going on with regards to this old Riverdale, now Riverdale, and they're really doing a good job of changing it over and transferring over from, like, this is what you were used to for Riverdale, and this is what it is for Riverdale. Alright, so let's just go full in with Jughead right now. Mr. Andrews fired his dad, and you feel really bad and a little bit angry at Mr. Andrews for doing that, and then you find out that his father was stealing product from a construction site, so he legitimately did have to fire him, which makes you feel horrible. And then you see Jughead all upset over the drive-in theater with the history for he and Jelly Bean and his parents. And then you end up having the situation seeing that he was actually living at the drive-in theater, which goes to show, like, why isn't he at home? Like, what honestly happened to his home life? And why does no one know this? And then I saw him talking to that Southside Serpent, and I was thinking, okay, what's going on here? Like, are they gonna, like, draw him in, offer him a place to stay? Is he gonna end up, like, reverting to this other side of Riverdale? And then all of a sudden, dad and son come out, and I'm just like, like, my heart just broke in that moment. I was like, oh, Juggy, my Jughead, why? When Mr. and Mrs. Cooper show up on Mr. Andrews' door to talk to him about the friendship between Betty and Archie and that it was not healthy and it needed to stop and all this stuff, I got thinking, like, there's just something wrong with regards to the Cooper's household, especially with regards to going to this extent. Then you have Mrs. Cooper find the gun, and she goes rifling through her diary, and it just blows up. You knew this was going to happen. It blows up, and Archie goes and actually, just to make her stop and leave Miss Grundy alone, he goes and says all of these things about himself, and Miss Grundy is just going to leave town, which I think is a bad idea. I feel like there's more there and she's getting off on stuff. He goes and he says all those things, and your heart just breaks as he says these words, because, like, that is an adult tearing down. I know that he's a teenager, but tearing down a child, that is not okay. That kind of abuse, like, imagine what Betty's going through, and she has for the majority of her life. Like, it's just, it's not okay. And then you see Mr. Andrews open up the door for Archie, and he's, like, you can tell Archie is physically ill with everything, and he's crying, and Mr. Andrews, rather than being judgmental, rather than stating, I can't believe that you would do that, or why didn't you come and tell me this, or talk to me about this, he says to him, the things that you said are not true, they're not you. And Archie and his hug, like, you can see that bond of them getting closer, and it was so heartbreaking, but it's so good. And then you see Mrs. Cooper having a discussion with Betty, and you see that discussion go completely different, because you do see the judgmental and I'm trying to do this for your own good Mrs. Cooper, and it just backfires. Like, she gets up and backs away from the bed and leaves the room, and you see the complete difference in the households and the relationships and the approach that's done. And I think that was shown really well, but it also makes you realize, okay, there's more that is going to come of this, because Archie and Mr. Andrews' relationship in the first episode was really rocky, and it's actually growing. Their bond is getting stronger, whereas the bond between the Coopers and Betty is just, it's hanging on by just threads right now. And when that breaks, I feel like so much is going to get revealed with regards to the Coopers, or even just Mrs. Cooper in general. So Betty, when this whole interaction between Mrs. Cooper, Archie, Mr. Andrews, Miss Grundy, Betty makes a comment and says, snapped like Polly, like mother, like daughter, crazy runs in the family. I'll go and state like all these things didn't actually happen. What is with that like mother, like daughter? So did Mrs. Cooper have a breakdown and nothing is being said about it? As I said, those thin threads, those little threads that they're hanging on by for a relationship, something is going to come out when it's gone. Also, at the end, we have the Keller household being broken into. You see Kevin and the sheriff going in and seeing like all of this taking place. Now, I know that Hermione Lodge went and paid money to the Southside Serpents to go and, you know, for what they were doing to help diminish the property value for the drive-in theater. But could that have had anything to do with that as well? Probably not, because 100% Mrs. Lodge, I don't really think too much about Jason, but you do know that there is bad blood between the Blossoms and Coopers, and the Coopers have bad blood with Lodges, so I think there's something going on. This weird Bermuda Triangle, like everything's going into this, but nothing is coming out of it yet. Wait for it, because I feel like in a couple episodes it's just going to explode out of this Bermuda Triangle, and we're going to get so much information that like they're going to have to take a week off of the episodes just so that the people that watched it could like have time to revive from it all. Finally, as I said in the last episode, I wanted to know what Betty was always writing in her journal or diary. You find out that she calls it a diary, and Mrs. Cooper states she has a very, very detailed diary that she keeps. So what else is in Betty's diary? She started a new one, which makes me think, what else is in that old one that Mrs. Cooper took and probably kept, because there's got to be more going on there. The music, again, top-notch music. At the end where Juggy is like leaving the drive-in theater, if you guys listen to the music that's playing with the lyrics, perfect. I'm so impressed with everything that they're doing. Honestly, as I said before, I was really scared that this was not going to be a good series. I thought that this was going to be really bad, just not what I was expecting. Very teeny bopperish. This is so far from teeny bopperish that I am very impressed. I love that they are bringing this higher level of standard than you see sometimes in TV shows, and I'm glad that Netflix is on board with this as well, because if the CW cancels it, because there's only like 10 episodes I think for the first season, if the CW cancels it, I bet you Netflix will purchase it and continue on with the series. So let me know what you guys thought of it. Honestly, I just love the writing. I think that the writers are absolutely fabulous, and I hope that none of them ever get treated poorly so that they decide to no longer write good scripts or decide to no longer continue with the show. So that is my episode talk. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!